young people talk in memes and grunts. Grunts, not actual word.
So, according to Oxford University, the word of year 2025 was rage bait. And what is rage bait? So, rage bait is typical form of content which is made to get a reaction out of viewer who is watching the content or consuming it. उनको गुस्सा दिलाने के लिए just to farm engagement. And rage bait is not the first word, non-typical word which has been word of the year. Just like for year 2024, the word of the year was brain rot. Brain rot is the same, just consuming slop content with no value and just filling your brain with something. And as this was announced, the reaction was, for a lack of better word, predictable. People started grilling the younger generation, especially Gen Alpha and Gen Z, for their lack of language per se. They said that they only talk in memes, grunts, and use anything other than your normal languages. The narrative being set here is that younger people are uncultured and your traditional language skills are crumbling away. But I have a different theory. I think Gen Z is the generation which is using the language how it's supposed to be used. I'd argue that rather than dumbing down the English language, they have been upgrading it to a higher definition, and I'll explain why. So, here's the core function of language. It's a tool for transferring the thoughts in my brain to your brain with as little data loss as possible in the process. But Gen Z, they have grown up in a world of hypersimulation and complex digital social structures. They refuse to settle for these big buckets of feelings. They want specific words for specific feelings, specific things. They want a upgraded 4K language. There is a concept in psychology called emotional granularity. It's a ability to specifically point out what you are feeling. And to specifically point out what you're feeling, you need words. Take situationship, or as millennials used to call it, it's complicated. And honestly, complicated tells me nothing. Complicated can be you are fighting, or your partner is in a hospital and they are about to die, or even they cheated on you, or you didn't even tell your partner that they are your partner. I hope you did. Whereas situationship tells me a lot. It's a specific sociological classification of a relationship. It's a gray area between friendship and romance, where there is emotional intimacy of a relationship but without any commitment. Now, situationship packed this complex dynamic for me in a word, and that's what I expect from a language. What about the ick? People really hate this word. But if you think about it, it's not just about losing interest. It's a raw, almost evolutionary reaction to losing interest in potential mate, which English language traditionally didn't really have the word. And then there's lore. You'll hear kids say, that's part of my lore. They are borrowing this term from fantasy storytelling and using it for their own personal storytelling. They realize that their life is a narrative construction, and that's just storytelling. That's literary. These aren't the slang words born out of stupidity. These are the words which are born out of necessity for precision. They built a word for everything because I guess they feel everything. Which brings me to brain rot. Critics use this word to say Gen Z is mindless, but I think they are just super self-aware. I mean, think about it. Boomers and Gen X used to sit in front of TV and watch reruns for 6 hours. They used to call it unwinding. They found it really relaxing. Gen Z also on an average consumes 6 hours of content a day. But they call it brain rot. They coined this term to self-diagnose the negative cognitive effects of their own consumption habit. You can't fix a problem you can't name. By naming it rot, they are acknowledging the problem. That isn't the language of an uncultured or unaware generation. I think that's a language of a generation which is hyper aware of their own contextual reality. Language isn't a statue which we need to worship or keep clean. Think of it as a software. When world changes, when feelings get more complex, when attention spans get cooked, we need to patch the software. So rather than mocking the language, I think people should listen to it and even understand it to some extent. Maybe you will find a word for a feeling which you have felt before but couldn't term it, and now you can. So instead of repelling and not accepting new things, try to have an understanding around it. Maybe you will also like it, or maybe you won't. I still don't understand what nanoship, what benching, and other dating terms are. I want to know which is the Gen Z slang. I hate the word Gen Z as well. Which is the slang you think it's genius, or the one you absolutely hate and couldn't stand? Let me know in the comment section down below. And what are your opinions regarding language? Let me know those as well. And I'll see you in another video. Thank you.